What is up, y'all? I've been super busy, and this is the day of the fights that I'm recording this, so I'm going to see if I can go through these real quick and edit this real quick and get it out to y'all before they actually start. Starting right off, Shaaban versus Elise. I'm taking Shaaban by a decision. Alice is a short notice replacement. She was originally supposed to fight some girl named Renara Oliveira or something like that. I know the last name was Oliveira, and the first name was something with Nar. Yeah, Shaaban's not that great. Much more of a can crusher, but Elise Ardeline is not really anything special either. As you can see, she doesn't even have a picture in the UFC, just some local can probably. And taking it on short notice as well. I just don't see why Shauna shouldn't take this unless she's really just that bad. Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. Kiefer Crosby just got packed up and sent home by Kevin Jusay in his last fight, getting subbed the way he did. Sam Patterson been going around getting submissions, putting some people away like that. I'm going to take him by a submission. Seems like that's the logical course of action. He just won a fight like that. He just lost a fight like that. Boom. Makai versus Manel Cap. Can't believe this fight got moved to the early prelims. This is pretty crazy. That being said, this is a fantastic fight. All the stuff that's been going on in the hotel, really just some true beef here, and it's a shame that they're on the prelims, that they weren't on the main card, they couldn't be at the press conference, etc., etc. Regardless of that, I still look forward to this fight greatly, and I am taking Muhammad Mokaev by decision. I just feel like it's kind of almost a plot armor thing. I feel like Mokaev is going to just control Cop well enough. I think he's just going to wrestle fuck up to the point where Manel Cop really doesn't get anything off. I don't think it's going to look impressive by Mokaev, and if anything, I think Manel Cop is actually going to look kind of impressive with defending it and with whatever shots he's going to be able to get in between wrestling exchanges. But I think Mokaev is just going to play his game, impose his will, and ride this fight out to a decision. Moving along, Modestas Bukauskas, Marcin Prachnio. You get KO'd by Sam Alvey. I'm not picking you. Modestas Bukauskas by decision on this one. Sorry, Marcin Prachnio. Moving along, Jake Hadley took this fight on short notice against Callum Loughran. Matchup wise, not the greatest fight for Jake Hadley. Taking it on short notice, also not a great look. He missed weight, not fantastic. Almost goes more in his favor, but taking it on short notice makes me think the weight miss probably means he wasn't able to cut the weight. So I'm going to take Callum by a decision. He's had a training camp. He's much more prepared for this fight. I don't think he's getting any knockouts, especially not with the weight miss. So I'm taking him by a decision. Molly McCain versus Bruna Brazil. Bruna Brazil, this is Molly's once a year layup in England. So I'm taking her by a knockout here. She'll probably get, another spinning back fist, or probably switch it up and get a flying knee or something this time. But that's really what I'm seeing here. A decision is just as easy though. But yeah, I don't see Bruna Brazil winning this one. Moving along, Nathaniel Wood, Daniel Pineda. Nathaniel Wood is just simply better than Daniel Pineda, and I really have nothing else to say. Nathaniel Wood by decision. He's not really a finisher. Pineda is tough, but there's not much more to say than that. Nathaniel Wood is just simply better. Moving along onto the main card now, we got Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Based on Allen's performance versus Calvin Kattar, Chikadze's performance versus Calvin Kattar, how inactive Giga Chikadze has been as of late, and how close his fight with Alex Caceres was, it doesn't give me a lot of faith in Giga for this fight. And Arnold Allen's last two fights, even though they were both losses, that Evloev fight should have been arguably a victory for him. And that Max Holloway performance was very impressive. I really didn't rate Arnold Allen at all until after that performance, where I saw, okay, this dude seems like a real deal. All that being said, he's on the 2-loss streak. I think he's going to come back. I think he really wants to make a statement, show he's still at the top of this division. and especially in England is the perfect place to do it. I think Giga Chikadze is the perfect opponent. I'm going to take Arnold Allen by probably second or third round TKO. I don't think he's going to get a KO, but a TKO. I think he's just going to start piecing Chikadze up. I think he's going to start wearing the damage. I think eventually he's just going to he'll probably get like a knockdown or two, and just jump on him and use that explosivity and that speed, finish him, and just keep pounding on him until the ref pulls him off. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. So Arnold Allen by TKO like that later in the fight, second round, third round, something like that. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. These two have very similar resumes in terms of like they fought the same people, beat the same people, lost to a lot of the same people in a lot of the same ways too. It's very interesting. Guys that, you know, they both fought. Armen Petrosian, Gregory Rodriguez lost to him by unanimous decision. CLD lost to him by a split decision. No, Rodriguez lost by a split. CLD lost by a unanimous. They both knocked out Tallulah, Rodriguez in the first round, CLD in the second round. And that kind of, those kinds of similarities show up a few times between their records. And so everything on paper kind of tells me Rodriguez should win this fight because he's just got CLD's resume, but better. He's performing better. He's getting people out of there quicker. He's losing better. You know, like I mentioned, that Petrosian fight, like Rodriguez loses by a split, CLD loses by unanimous. Gregory was clearly able to make that fight close. But putting him on the main card, being a hometown guy, I just have that feeling in my gut CLD is going to get the knockout. Everything on paper tells me Gregory Rodriguez should do this, so don't be surprised. This is a gut feeling one. I'm taking CLD by a knockout. Probably first or second round, I want to say. I think if it goes to a decision, Rodriguez will probably take it, though. Robert Green, Paddy Pimblett. This fight has a lot of people up in arms. It is pretty 50-50. I will say it is not an easy one to predict. A lot of people like Bobby striking when going up against a guy like Paddy, who seemed to have his problems with Jared Gordon and whatnot. I get that. Not to sound too much like a different MMA YouTuber, but I definitely see Paddy having plot armor in this, being in the UK. A decision, if it's close, is obviously guaranteed for him. But I also just think, you know, Green's like 37, 38. He's kind of an old guy at this point. And I think if Paddy hits him, it's going to hurt him. And he could easily drop him. He did it to Tony. Bobby Green's always got his hands down by his waist. And he's not a super big power puncher. So it's not like he's going to sleep Paddy as Paddy's trying to get a shot off on Green. So Paddy could really just huck overhands at him until he drops him or just starts hurting him. And I think what's going to happen is he's probably going to drop Green at some point. And he's going to get him on the ground, wrap him up, and get him in some sort of submission, is my guess. Also want to take this by about second or third round. I think it's going to take a little bit. He might have to hit Green a few times before he falls over, but this is really what I'm seeing. I do think Green can pepper him up nicely on the feet, but when it comes to the grappling, I just think Paddy's good enough to maybe not take him down. That's why I say he needs the knockdown, but once he's got him down, I think he can control him. I think he can wrap him up. I don't think Green's going to be able to stop any of that. So that's what I'm taking in the feature fight. Co-main event, heavyweight champ Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. Let's not beat around the bush on this one. Tom Aspinall, I'm taking him by a first round knockout, second round knockout if you want to say. There's really, I feel like this one's kind of obvious. Most people are taking Tom Aspinall. Curtis Blades, he's not a bad fighter. It's heavyweight, you know, he could always get the knockout. He's really good at wrestling. And I would be curious to see how Tom Aspinall looks off his back, if Blades can, you know, kind of stand in his guard and throw those elbows at him or not. That would be cool to see. But nothing I've seen from Curtis Blades tells me he's got really any shot at this, or it tells me that he could give Tom Aspinall any problems that are any different from any of the other past opponents. Especially that Jailton Almeida win. Barely feels like a win. It really just felt more like Jailton kind of quit in that fight than it was that Curtis won. And props to Curtis for not giving up, especially after the way the first round went. But that first round's not a good look. It makes me think Tom can just do that. And, I mean, I say first round knockout. I feel like a knockout is more likely. But I would bet just as much money on a first round submission. Neither would really surprise me. I think it's just going to be some sort of finish from Tom Aspinall early on, first or second round. I definitely don't see this fight going to a decision. And I think Curtis only wins this fight by a knockout, trying to like counter Tom perfectly. Main event, Leon Edwards and some dude. Oh God, who is this guy? I'm screwing with y'all. Bilal Muhammad. I did remember the name, unfortunately. So we all saw how that first fight went. It's a little bit closer than people like to give Bilal credit for. But at the end of the day, I still see nothing but Leon piecing up Bilal for the most part, being the most aggressive he's ever been. Leon's been preparing for nothing but wrestlers in Usman and Colby, who even after that last performance, I still think Colby is a better wrestler than Bilal. So really nothing for him to worry about in that regard. And nobody's better at striking in this division than Leon, probably. JDM's probably got better boxing, but in terms of overall striking, I really don't think anybody outclasses Leon. So Bilal's not going to beat him in that aspect either. And there's just no, I mean, like, Bilal's a good fighter if he shows up to this fight in peak form and really puts the pace, puts that pressure on Leon, gets him against the fence, throws his knees, gets his takedowns. He could win this fight. No doubt. He could win this fight. I just think Leon Edwards is quite literally better than him everywhere in a dramatic way. Also, Bilal's like 37. Now, I think maybe 30. No, I think he's 36. So the 35 and under curse does apply to welterweight and below, which is another big aspect. The 35 and under curse has pretty much never failed since we've learned about it. Obviously, the stat has a few winners on there, but in general, that stat doesn't fail, and I think it's fair to go off of. And I'm taking Edwards by a decision. I feel it feels silly to pick either of these guys by any sort of finish, unless you maybe want to go Edwards by knockout, but I just can't see it. I just don't. Unless he comes out as aggressively as he did in the last fight, I don't see him getting the knockout. He could come out that aggressively, but I think because it's a title fight, he's still going to play it safe, play it slow, play it whatever, because he just doesn't need to make that kind of risk anymore to make a name and get the title shot, you know? So I think that's the kind of game Leon's going to play. He's going to get on the outside, play that decision, and still. Thank you guys for watching. MMA Cannibal. Let's enjoy the fights tonight, and peace out. Stay violent.